Hey everybody, it's Scott coming at you with another video today. I wanted to make this video to kind of be a sequel to the mastering video I did for the Jumpstart Your Podcast series. I wanted to go into a little more depth about mastering, and in that video I really only talked about peak level and RMS level that you get from just a basic digital meter. But I wanted in this video to show how to use a loudness meter and to kind of talk about what the industry does with audio that is a certain loudness. So if you'll direct your attention to the screen, you will see I've got the same project pulled up. It is from my former church. It's that same sermon we've been working with to do the EQ and compression video and the first mastering video. So this will be a quicker one. I wanted to just show, kind of pick up where we left off.
To the
so
edge
you'll see,
of this town, to the fringe of...
like I talked about last time, I try to maintain about a 14 dB difference between the peak and the RMS levels, which you can see I've got 11.1 and minus 2.5, which is maybe 13.5, roughly. So that's pretty close.
To a place
I think
that
I
he
hit
really
12
wasn't
eventually.
supposed to be.
Maybe back here.
Centeredness. John chapter 5, let's start in, it says this, sometime later.
Yeah.
Notice this, Jesus.
Yeah, that's a review of last time. This time I want to click over here to Loudness. So I'm a Cubase Pro user. Doesn't mean I'm a pro. That means Cubase is pro. I'm not a pro. Trying to be, but I'm not yet. So Cubase Pro comes with a loudness meter. There aren't that many DAWs that actually have this built in. I think Studio One does, and Cubase does, and then some other ones I hadn't heard of. But this loudness meters come in plug-in form as well, so you can, I'm sure Waves has one. You can get it from somewhere. But with a loudness meter, you have some different looking units here and some different kind of numbers. So I've got a momentary max, I've got short-term loudness, integrated loudness, range, which would be the dynamic range, and what the true peak of the audio is. So short-term, well, okay, the unit here is LUFS, which is loudness units full scale. It's hard to describe what a loudness unit really is. I don't really know. I know the loudness meter was designed with the human ear in mind, so it's going to give you measurements that are more accurate to what you hear. Peak and RMS measurements on a digital scale or digital meter are basically more robotic. It's just a pure measurement. Here's how loud the loudest part of the audio was, and here's where the average is, and do what you will with that. Loudness does something a little different. The loudness unit is what it sounds like. It's a unit of loudness. I wish I understood more of how they got that number or how that scale was created, but it's just a different way of analyzing your audio. So I'll hit play again.
Went up to Jerusalem. Let's start in verse 1.
Let me
it
reset
says
the
this,
measurement here.
sometime later, notice this, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for a feast of the Jews.
All right, so a couple things. You'll see my short-term loudness varies a lot because I'm pretty sure the short-term measurement is only takes a 3-second sample, or maybe that's the integrated. I don't know. The short-term takes a much smaller sample of the audio and reports what the loudness is, whereas the integrated scale takes a much bigger chunk and is more of an average. So you can see my integrated LUFS is minus 13.5 at this point. I did kind of just hit a dead spot in the recording. It was higher over here.
It says this, sometime later, notice.
Yeah, whatever. So when you are going to release your podcast, it's going to go out to all the different streaming services. And each streaming service, they have a different reference level that they use for their loudness, but they do use a loudness meter. So I think iTunes uses minus 16 LUFS. Spotify is -14, and then YouTube Music is a different one. They're all similar. They're all close, but they're not all the same. So if you are mastering and you've got a loudness meter, you can kind of use this as your reference to say, okay, when this gets up to Apple Music, it's going to get turned down by 3 dB, or when this gets up to Spotify, it's going to get turned down by 0.7. So that's just another tool you can use to gauge how loud your audio is. It doesn't make a huge difference to me. It's good information to have, but again, if you're doing a podcast, you've probably got mostly spoken word stuff. If it's a different, if your audio is a different level across different streaming services, it's not a big deal. If you're just using the digital scale and you do this, you got 11.6 peak minus 3.6 RMS. That's a 14 dB difference. That is, that's fine. You can do it that way. You can be a little more precise with it if you use the loudness meter. It's all up to you, So I just wanted to show you this meter, show you some loudness, and kind of talk about that a little bit. So hope you found this video informational and useful. If you want to subscribe, you should do that because you should. Subscribe, give it a like, share it around. I'm trying to, be consistent with the uploads here. I know I missed last week, sorry. Life just gets busy, But, yeah, I plan to keep this thing going, and I would love for you to join me on the ride. So please consider subscribing, go to my website, get yourself on the email list, all those things. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.